That's right, it's the Solid Signal podcast for the week of August 4th, 2014. I wanted to start out by thanking you, my loyal listeners, for, at this point, about a year and a half of Solid Signal podcasts that grow in popularity every week. There hasn't been a single week yet when it's actually dropped in popularity, and I know that by saying that, this will be the first week that happens. At any rate, I'd like to talk to you about two four-letter words. Not those four-letter words, but four-letter words that can be just as unpleasant for you as a home theater enthusiast if you have satellite television. Those words are, and I need a sound effect here. Need to find somebody in my production department who can do that. Anyway, those two four-letter words are rain fade. Rain fade is the term for what happens when it rains so hard or snows so hard that the satellite signal just can't get through the clouds. At that point, you lose your TV signal. DirecTV claims its signal is about 99% free of rain fade, something like that. I don't want to get into trouble, so I don't want to quote a number that I'm not 100% sure of. But it's something like that. However, that still translates out to about an average of about half an hour of rain fade per week on average, like I said. That may sound like a lot. However, the fact of the matter is that rain fade is a lot better than losing cable television, and I'll explain why. When you lose cable, you usually need to have a truck out there to fix it, so your cable could be down for 2-3 days. Rain fade usually goes away in less than half an hour. Now, if you're from the Southwest, you're probably not super familiar with rain fade, but recent storms in Southern California have introduced rain fade to a lot of people's vocabulary. There's a couple of techniques for dealing with rain fade, and the number one is probably just to not worry about it. As I said, rain fade tends to go away by itself. You don't need to call DirecTV or Dish or the cable company. Of course, they don't have anything to do with it. And then just accept that it's going to happen, because it really is fairly infrequent. Another thing you can do, and I tend to recommend this for anybody who can, is to get an antenna. Truth is that about 90% of what you're watching is still on the major networks, and the stuff that isn't on the major networks tends to repeat over and over again. So by getting an antenna, and remember DirecTV and Dish are the only companies that will let you hook an antenna into their boxes, you can go ahead and have a backup. You can even set up to record automatically on those antenna TV channels and not worry so much about things. Another good option is to just know that the on-demand libraries for DirecTV and Dish have been getting better and better, bigger and bigger, and so you just may find that program that you missed on demand, and so you just don't have to worry about it. The truth is, folks, there's a lot more options than there were 10 years ago if you miss something live. It's frustrating when it happens, but it's no longer the end of the world. A lot of people have asked whether an amplifier or polarity locker will help with rain fade, and the answer is it's very hard to know for sure. There are a lot of situations where an amp and a polarity locker will work, and a lot of situations where they won't work. It doesn't hurt to put in, especially a polarity locker, which is going to help normalize the frequencies coming down, but these are only solutions that work with what we call legacy dishes or standard dishes. They don't work with DirecTV SWIM-enabled dishes. You can use an amplifier for DirecTV's SWIM-enabled dish, but it is not necessarily as effective. So if you feel like there's a need for an amplifier or a polarity locker, I do endorse you putting one in, but I can't make any guarantees that it's actually going to make a difference. The one thing I would most definitely not do is add a bigger dish or a second dish. People ask this all the time, can I add a 30-inch dish or a 1.2 meter dish? And, I understand it goes against common sense, but these dishes don't necessarily give you any better protection against rain fade. If the signal's not there, the signal's not there. Especially that 1.2 meter dish is specifically designed for Alaska and Hawaii use, and the way it's curved is such that it's not necessarily going to give you a stronger signal if your dish is right above you, which is where it should be if you're in the United States.